I have a very important question for you this week, Pete. You ready for it?
Okay.
That wasn't it. Here we go. What's that smell? What's that smell, Pete?
Sweat and regret.
Actually, the first one was correct. It is sweat, and more importantly than sweat, it's fear. As we all know, animals commonly use their sense of smell to figure out if there's danger nearby, and it turns out maybe half of the human population does too. And I'm talking about the better half, the female half. Bettina M. Paws, a psychology professor at Heinrich Heine University, Dusseldorf, just released findings earlier this month that people give off chemosensory anxiety signals, and women act contagiously as a result. In other less sciencey words, when women smell the anxiety-induced sweat of other women, it makes them more cautious and risk-averse.
That's why they never make mistakes.
That's why they never make mistakes, because they're always too busy.
Because men are lemmings. Correct. They just, oh, are you scared? Oh, well, I'll do that too.
Exactly.
And women are like, oh, you smell scared. I'll stop doing what I'm doing.
Pretty much. That's across the board exactly right. In the study, a large number of men and women were exposed to different odors, my least favorite word, to different odors when completing certain tasks involving trust in others. It's something called the trust game, and I read it 19 times, and you give someone money and then try to get stuff back. And I'm not going to go into any of it. But when exposed to the smell of female sweat resulting from anxiety, the women in the test became more wary, even when the chemo signal was so faint as to be consciously undetectable. So they don't even know they're smelling anything, and yet they become less trusting. And it seems that the same test, like you were saying, did not affect men in the same way. At all, because they were too busy trying to knock things over with their penises. I don't know, whatever men do. So that's pretty interesting. I mean, I guess that makes sense, but I had never thought that we sort of are the same thing as like dogs and cats in that way, or at least women are.
Yeah. We just don't have as good a sense of smell. And it's not like, I don't think women are going around actively smelling one another, right? That's not what it's like. They can't. They don't know that they're smelling what they're smelling. Correct. Consciously, like, oh, licorice, right? Like, that's not how it works, is it? Because otherwise, licorice, am I right?
That would be perfect. Nervous women do traditionally smell like red vines. And so it works across the board.
Welcome to What's That Smell, a sometimes funny podcast about humans and their anxieties. I'm Pete Wright.
And I'm Tommy Metz III.
Each and every week, we drag one of our deepest, darkest anxieties into the light to share it, learn about it,
and hopefully laugh about it with all of you.
Reach out. Send us the story of your anxieties to whatsthatsmell.net. That's right. Just visit the website, push the button that indicates, please, I'd like to submit my anxiety, sir, and we will take it, put it in the machine, and process it with laughs for all of you. It is the anxiety cycle of benevolence. And you know what else is a benevolent service? Visiting whatsthatsmell.net/merch. Don't you agree, Tom?
I do. And I like that when the person is doing it, they're an anxiety orphan. Here's my anxiety, sir. May I have more anxiety-induced sweat, please? Yes, merch. That sounds great because there's a lot of it.
Well, there is a lot of it. On our very channel, we have our historic title, What's That Smell? The There Is No Calm t-shirt. That's really more of our flag at this point, I think. But we also have I'm actually wearing today in the live stream, the first citywide bank of anxiety. We live where you live. And that is available. And the logo, right here in the live stream, you don't see this now, but I haven't put the season 6 logo stuff up there yet. So will go up there too. By the time you hear this, that will be there. So go get some merch. It'll be great. And
wear us on your bodies.
Yeah, you can put us all over your bodies or under your heads. You can get pillows. You want a pillow? I'll let you sleep on me.
What? Yeah, sleep on us. Wear us. Pretend it's our skin.
No. With that, I'll go first. Tom, I don't, it's just awful.
Oh no, good start.
First, how are your joints?
Good.
knees,
I'm working them out.
hips. I know. I'm watching you work them out. You look great. Your form is terrific. You're a real Simone Biles right now.
I'm not suffering yet in my age of like when I stand up, I don't go or creak or anything. I'm doing pretty good.
Oh God, I'm jealous.
Oh,
I'm
really?
so jealous. Well, you're a couple of years younger than me, so maybe that's it. Maybe you just have this to look forward to.
Right. Is my throat a joint? Because I'm having trouble swallowing as we've gone
Get
over
down
before.
there, pastrami. See, now
That's what I yell every time.
all right.
Yep.
Look, I'm having a real hip problem right now. Like a real troubled person. My hip, it hurts so much. My left hip, it feels like, and it's not like a muscle, like a groin muscle or hip girdle. It's like a spike going right in the side of my hip joint. It feels like something's
happened?
really wrong there. Don't know.
You didn't
Hence
fall
our
or
conversation today. No, I didn't fall. But I'm a risk now. I feel like all of a sudden I get out of bed and I'm like, oh God, this is why my granddad used to make this shape with his body. Like that's the problem. It's sort of, but I'm on the heels of a real heel problem with bursitis. That is I'm kind of on the other side of that. But that took, I'm not kidding, years to heal my heel. Years.
Oh, God. Why
Awful.
are you falling apart?
Awful. And then this weekend, my wife comes in and she said, look at my knee. It's hot. And it was like the size of a grapefruit and it was about 300 degrees. Put your hand on it. It's all puffy and squishy. She's like, what is that? I said, I don't know what that is. It's awful. You should have it looked at. And so she connects with the Zoom Care video people. Do you have Zoom Care in California? You know what Zoom is? Apparently they're not all over the place.
I've never heard of such a thing, but yeah.
Oh, okay. So I think it's just it's a kind of like easy access public or urgent care. It's a private company, but it's like quick urgent care. And so they literally have places next door to our Starbucks, right?
Oh, wow.
And so you go in and meet with a physician's assistant or a nurse's assistant, and they will escalate you.
Oh, we have that. I thought you said it was over Zoom. Yeah, we have one right down the road. It's called Mend.
Okay, it's the same kind of thing, but it's called Zoom Care.
Oh.
It's not the same company, but it's very confusing when you're meeting with Zoom Care over Zoom. And so, anyway, she meets with them and they say, oh, we're going to need to look at that. And so they schedule another thing where she has to go into the clinic. And she goes into the clinic and they say, oh, that's an infection in the bursa of your knee. And the bursa is the little sac, the little like jelly sac that keeps everything floating around in there.
Is that related to bursitis?
Yeah,
Same
the
thing.
heel,
Okay,
the heel bursa is under the heel, and so they give her an antibiotic which she has to take every 6 hours for 7 days.
Whoa! So this is serious.
Yeah, serious, and it doesn't go away. And not only that, after a day and a half after this appointment, when she's on antibiotics, she spikes a fever of 103. And so she goes back to now the Zoom Care mothership, which is downtown. And she says, not only do you have bursitis in your knee, you have septic bursitis.
Ooh, that's not a good word. You don't want septic in your body.
No, you sure don't. And neither did the kind doctors at Zoom Care. So they put her on an IV antibiotic for her knee, right?
Yep.
And then, because they said, if this doesn't go away, it's going to be, we're going to have to drain it.
Oof.
We don't like thinking about that.
These are all the words.
And then they keep her on all the antibiotics, so she's still on it. It's kind of going down, but it's hot, and she's going again to the clinic this afternoon because it isn't going away fast enough, and it's uncomfortable. And so I start thinking about joints. All of this is to get to joints. Because I found in my research about joints, I found an article that I think we need to talk about.
Okay.
As people who live with anxiety. Can I just tell you about association of stress-related disorders with subsequent autoimmune disease?
Okay, science words.
The bottom line is this. When you live with chronic anxiety or depression, how does your body respond to it? Now, we know the fight or flight reaction kicks in, right? And you have these chemicals that flood your body. But if you are living with chronic anxiety, you're constantly in a stress response, right? And so these chemicals are constantly in your body. And so this stressful situation where on the immediate will cause this response causing your heart rate to increase and your blood pressure to rise and your muscles to tighten. Well, these researchers figured out that autoimmune diseases can stem from this constant thing. And that's when your body starts to attack its own connective joint tissue. So when you live with anxiety chronically, your joints can start to ache because your body is attacking itself. That's the autoimmune
because
stuff.
It's reacting to something, a panic situation all the time. Oh, no.
Yeah. And in such cases as rheumatoid arthritis and lupus, the antibodies attach to connective tissue within the joints, leading to pain, stiffness, swelling, and without treatment, potentially permanent joint damage.
Oh, great.
I know. So I'm looking at you and I'm saying, man, one, why don't your joints hurt more? And two, please, let's fix this so you don't have to worry about it. Now, I don't know if what I'm dealing with is like stress related, because it's making me start to think, because I've been dealing with so many of these joint issues for so long, that there might very well be a connection in me.
Oh, and it becomes a self-fulfilling cycle.
100 stupid %.
That's the worst kind of percent. Oh, man. Well, so do I live with, maybe I live in incredible pain, but I think that's what you're supposed to live. Like what I'm doing with my arms now hurts terribly, but that's not normal. No,
that's right. This is, and so the survey was done in Sweden, and this journal article, a link will be in the show notes. Exposure to stress-related disorders were significantly associated with increased risk of subsequent autoimmune disease compared with matched unexposed individuals and with full siblings. Further studies are needed to better understand the underlying mechanisms. But this article, as you start reading through it, even with the science words, it starts to paint a picture of, we need to get our house in order.
Right.
Right?
And you mean your house, because it sounds like your entire family is falling apart.
It sort of does start to feel that way, but I generally believe that my wife is going to be fine. I think hers is really an infection, and I think I need to get my house in order, and that's really what I'm referring to. Royal we always means we, Tom. Always. And so, they come back and they say, you've got to recognize the mental and emotional symptoms and what it's doing to your body. So if you're moody and distracted and forgetful and you have low self-esteem or depression, you might be having physical symptoms like these aches and pains or tension. You're unable to sort of stretch yourself out. You can't sleep. You've got headaches, maybe chronic headaches. You have chest pain or chest tightness. All of this leads to like nervousness, but could be digestive problems. Watch your energy level. Are you able to maintain energy throughout the day from the time you wake up to the time you're ready to end the day? Do you get colds or other infections often, right? When cold season hits, are you a frequent target? Do you always feel like, I get a cold every year at this time? That could be that you are naturally more susceptible to the swings of global infection. And because there are people who are not, likely to get caught like that. What do you think? Are you a sicko? Do you get sick a lot? I don't even know this about you.
No, I don't. I don't think so.
It's hard to say with the pandemic because I haven't been sick other than COVID in 18 months. Right. No colds, no problems. Like I'm really as healthy as I've ever been besides COVID.
No, I don't. I think probably because I don't work in an office and so I'm not around. I see people a lot, but especially, during the pandemic, you're seeing them from farther apart. And so, no, I'm not a sicko, and I'm surprised because it seems like I should probably be a sicko.
I look at both of us and I feel like we're in the strike zone.
Right.
For this stuff.
Yeah.
I don't want to speak for you, man, but I do feel like the kinds of things we talk about and think about, that makes me think about my aching hip and my aching heel and the things that hurt all the time more than anything. Now, I also fully recognize I am not in good shape. Right. Okay. The last year and a half has been terrible for my general physical fitness. And apart from, I do yoga, but I've really struggled since I got sick to get back into something that really regularly gets my heart rate up. And that's to my own detriment. I get that. So I feel like right now, all of this research has led me to one target And really what the target is, I need to move more, and that will make me feel better. So right now, all I'm thinking is, oh, it must be anxiety, when really it's just you're a lazy, stiff.
But exercise helps anxiety.
Yeah, that's right.
And so you
talk
could
about
also
self-fulfilling, self-defeating.
Yeah, you could attack it from that end. And I'm saying, I need to be more fit, very much so as well. But yeah, because if you attack it from that side, then it is very anxiety related.
Totally.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They also came back in the study, they came back and said, hey, we need to know our triggers, so you should be journaling regularly. That keeps coming up, journaling. Yeah. Right? It's a thing. You need to be journaling regularly. Right? Because, and in this case, they're just saying, write down the patterns that you are experiencing of discomfort, right? So that you can go back, it's like collecting data.
Oh, about when you're hurt.
Yeah.
And what was going on when you're hurt?
Right. Because that's another thing that they see is people don't remember when they actually hurt themselves and might be misattributing mental and emotional health to something that was really, dude, you walked into a table.
That sounds like something I would do. And just completely miss it. Yeah. I'm so anxious. I have a bruise on my face. And you're like, well, also you fell when you were eating pie. I don't know why I was eating pie.
Eating well and maintaining weight in the target zone for your height is something that they say will absolutely preserve your joints. So, note to self. Need to look into that.
Note to self: pull-ups, just like our
8 a.m. Monday. Don't eat a bagel.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Quiche is not a cardio exercise.
It is easy to feel overwhelmed. They absolutely recommend asking for help, getting active, asking for help from your, community gym service, somebody you have a trainer who's accountability who can help you, find the right program for you. But in general, they did say walking, yoga, all of these activities that are low impact, but actually help you stretch and lengthen your limbs and your muscles and keep you flexible. And I did catch one article that said, there are exercises that will keep you out of assisted living if you do them all your life.
Please say wogging. Please say wogging. All I care about is wogging.
Push-ups are one to keep your upper body and your shoulders, but you don't need to do full scorpion push-ups where one foot is way up in the air over your head, and you don't have to do that. You can just get on your knees and do some push-ups. So that's one. Squats. Do your squats. That is
really
that's huge.
I thought those were bad for some reason because that's putting so much stress on your joints. I don't know what things are.
Squats? I think crunches, some sit-ups are not good, but squats, you're just squatting. Squatting and then coming back up.
But wouldn't that put a lot of pressure on your knees?
This is from these hospice workers who are saying, look, the reason we are here is to keep people who can't stand up from falling over. And they always fall over because their legs, hips, and lower back are not strong enough. And doing squats regularly every day, it will keep you healthy all your life. Squats.
Oh, so I'm thinking... Oh, I get it. Okay, got it. Okay, squats. What about lunges?
It's these core exercises that work on the core stability, like stabilizing muscles. So I didn't read anything about lunges.
Okay.
But I like lunges.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I imagine. And they probably, they allow you to fall into hero pose pretty quickly.
Right.
Especially if you closed fist on your hips while you do it. You're a real Jack Palance.
I would... He's my... Yes,
I want to Jack LaLanne.
Jack Palance.
Jack Palance is the push-up guy. When I get out there and I do a city
slicker. Yeah. I think I like lunges. I might be thinking of lunches. I've been doing all my exercises so wrong.
100%.
Got it. Okay, so push-ups and squats. I used to do push-ups when I got home from wogging, but I stopped doing that because cake. But I will go back and put those back in.
Yeah, I think you should do it, and I also think that they say that you should not worry, especially as you get older, about doing weights. It turns out there is a real fallacy around using heavy things for older people, and as long as you're staying healthy and using the right amount of weight, it is absolutely okay for older people to be training with weights. It reduces the risk of falling and improves bone density. So I'm pretty excited to see both of our new physiques after we start squatting a lot.
Next week, we'll start the shirtless podcast off. Goodbye, live stream viewers.
Coober-Pedy is a small town that sits in the middle of South Australia. It's about an hour north of Adelaide. It's hot there. It hits 120 regularly in the summer, and with the climate change, it's only getting hotter. And still, 1,800 people, consisting of over 50 nationalities, call this slice of the outback home. And of all the homes in Coober-Pedy, more than 60% of them are underground. The first shovel hit dirt in 1915 when a 14-year-old boy found a gemstone in the hard ground. That gem was an opal, currently valued anywhere from $10 to $6,000 per carat. And it turned out that this part of Australia is positively littered with them. The first residents of the town were soldiers returning from World War I, fresh with trench digging experience. These retired heroes preferred the cool, dark tunnels to the hot sun, and as they dug, they pulled out the dirt and gems, and, well, they stayed there. In the 70s, the town of Coober-Pedy boasted more than 1,000 miners digging their way into the future homestead. There are only about 100 miners left in the town now, but the underground living persists. The homes themselves range from the hollowed-out caves you might expect to finished pads you absolutely do not. Pictures document sharp corners and high ceilings, not at all what you'd think of when you imagine living in an old mine. One resident, a handyman by the name of Rod Wells, has an indoor pool and an attached beauty parlor owned and run by his wife. Dine? Underground. Hotel? Also underground. Church? Pray down low. Want to expand your place? Go ahead. We'd come home from school, says another resident, do our homework and our chores, and then Dad would press a jackhammer in our hands and say, get cracking, we're making another bedroom. And, lest we forget, funding these kinds of expansions is often done by the opals that fall out of the walls as they are excavated. In Coober-Pedy, the earth is hard and strong, and funding new projects around the house from the gemstones that fall out of the walls occasionally, well, that's a place built on a firm foundation. As podcasters, you are our precious gemstones falling from the walls. That's why we invite you to become What's That Smell Panic Pals. For a one-time contribution of just $35, you can sleep soundly knowing you're supporting the time and expense for production of this season. And in return, you'll get to join us for our live stream recording sessions, access to historic member-only episodes and bonus sessions, stickers, anxiety coupons, and don't forget our official and certified best friendship with you. Just visit whatsthatsmell.net and become our opal falling out of the wall today.
All right, so Coober-Pedy, that's your new nickname, by the way. It's Coober-Pedy. 2 eps ago, because last week we released the special episode. 2 weeks ago, do you remember what I talked about? I talked about my fear over suffering dysphagia, or as we came to know it, the bad eats.
Yes.
And all that choke talk got me thinking more about eating in general, and something occurred to me. This has been an anxiety of mine for so long that it honestly never occurred to me to bring it up on the podcast before now, because I've had it for so long, it's almost been completely normalized.
Yeah, and we're a show that's really dedicated to novel anxieties.
Yes.
It's only the new, latest and greatest.
Right, exactly. Okay, so Weesty, what do all these things have in common? You ready?
Sure.
Rotisserie chicken.
Fowl.
Ribs.
Pig fowl.
Fried chicken.
Also fowl.
Tomahawk rib eye steaks.
See, we're still in the general meat family.
Yep.
Should I keep going?
That's the whole list.
Oh, that was the whole list?
Well, I thought I wrote more, but I didn't. So This quiz is over. Pete, they all have bones in them.
Oh, sure. Bones.
And Pete, I have an anxiety. This is one of the most insufferable ones. I have an anxiety about eating meat off of a bone.
Are you serious?
I present to you cartilaginophobia.
That's a thing. Oh, Tom.
Fear of damn bones, Pete. And I feel comfortable. This would be maybe one that I would keep from people, except that I know for a fact that friend of the show, Mandy Kaplan, and a co-host of the Man Cave, also has this exact same thing. It's one of the very first things that we bonded about when I was forcing her to be friends with me after casting her in a short film.
So you don't like things like barbecue ribs are not a jam for you?
No. Well, see, here, let me clarify.
Okay.
I'm not afraid of the bones. What did I say? Carcinogenophobia is really fear of bones.
Cartilagenophobia. I think carcinogenophobia. Everybody's
Did I say
afraid of carcinogens.
I'm afraid of poison, Pete. Sorry, cartilagenophobia. Yes. I'm not afraid of bones, and like skeletons don't scare me. And so much so I pronounce it skeletons, apparently.
But putting your teeth on them.
Right. And I'm also not afraid of choking on a bone, which is surprising because, as we know, I have trouble eating soup these days. No, it's the idea of eating meat off of a bone in particular. And I think it's because what I've always called myself is a hypocritical carnivore. I eat meat and I like eating meat, but I don't like it if it reminds me that something was alive. I would like everything to be boneless and in patty form, like a 2-year-old.
Of course.
Yes.
Well, like a McNugget, right? It's there's meat in it, but it has been molded into a paste and reformed into a thing, which is fine. That you could eat that.
100%. Yes.
What if I put a McNugget on a stick?
Is the stick like a? Do you?
What if it's a bone-shaped stick?
A finger stick? No, I don't think that will work. Then that's just a horrible lollipop. I think, eating something off of a bone is just too carnivorous for me. It's too much of a reminder that something was walking around and clucking forever, and so it's very off-putting to me. Before I keep going, do you identify with this at all, or are you like, give me them bones? Those are the two options.
Well, I'll take give me them bones for 1,000, Tom. I'm also a hypocritical meat eater, and I would say that my meat consumption has dropped dramatically over the last year. But it is largely because I've just been learning more about the environmental impact of harvesting meat, and that makes me cringe. Like I'm partaking in so many things that are bad for the environment right now that I'm just trying to pick a few that I can impact in my own life and adapt to, right? That are like, if this is one that I can fix, but I love me some steak or not steak. I actually don't like steak, but ribs, barbecue ribs, some of my favorite food in the world. I like to actually, like a cartoon, I suck the bone and to get all of it off. I know it's awful. And just talking to you about it now, I feel just awash in guilt.
That's the Tommy promise.
I feel terrible about it, right?
Yeah.
Oh, this is disastrous.
So that's what you say to waiters? I'm going to do all the bones. That's what you say to servers?
No, I just say, can you bring me the slurping sticks? And they know. They always know.
They always know to close early because you're horrifying. I can eat... Ribs, they're also called ribs. That's just like, that's just a reminder. That's like, can I just have flesh, reminder. Please?
Yes, yeah.
When I have, like a fried chicken is served, I can eat it, but I have to peel the meat off with my hands and then put it in my mouth. I can never just chomp into something.
What was that, Sam Kinison? Was that a Sam Kinison joke? Maybe it was Robin Williams. You just bring the cow on over to the table. I'll carve off what I want and ride the rest home.
Oh, that does sound familiar. I do know that.
Yeah.
Let's say it's...
that was somebody.
Yeah, it was somebody. Let's say it was us.
Yeah,
okay, that's a shirt.
We just made that up.
And we did it. Yeah,
ride the rest home. Nailed
the rest home. Even though picking stuff off of a bone with my hands can be a problem. Once I was making a recipe that called for a rotisserie chicken. Like you bring a rotisserie chicken home, take the meat off, and then use that. And I had to stop. I was peeling off the meat for the rotisserie chicken. And because it's a whole chicken and it looks like a chicken, sort of, I had to stop because I got incredibly nauseous and I almost threw up in my own sink.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't do it.
And this is one that you'd think, we throw our old favorites at it. Like, when everything's, when all you have is a hammer, everything's a nail, right? So you've tried exposing yourself through it.
Correct.
Or not, because why would you want to? Like, maybe this isn't a terrible thing. Like, maybe you just don't need to eat stuff with bones in it.
Well, that's the thing is it's not something I necessarily feel the need to quash like the other ones, because eating boneless meat is fairly easy in life. And if ribs or something are served at a dinner party, which is very rare, and what's a dinner party anymore, I could just cut the meat off with a fork and knife. I would have to ignore everyone being like, hey, weirdo. How do you eat pizza? Like with chopsticks?
Yeah.
But it does ultimately bring up a question of like, maybe if I feel this morally weird, or I don't know if it's morally, but this grossed out, maybe I should give becoming a vegetarian a try.
Yeah. So
like I feel so viscerally, not morally. I feel so viscerally about this. Maybe that's telling me something.
Yeah. Okay. Two things. I have two things. One, to circle back on another meat, where do you stand on fish? Like if somebody serves you a fish that hasn't been, sometimes they put it on like a plank and it still has bones in it. Do you have a fish problem?
I don't eat a lot of fish still. But yes, I would. I don't think that would weirdly be less I'm eating an animal and I'm feeling bad about it, and more a fear of choking because their bones are so little. So that's very different than the fish. I don't feel as humane for. I want a fish to suffer. Is what I'm saying.
Oh my God, yeah. I do have. Have you ever been fishing? Are you a fishing person?
Can't do it. I love the idea of fishing, but as soon as I would catch something, it all goes out the window. So I just don't do it.
I have aged out of fishing. I went with my dad, and some of my best memories were fishing. Like we would go fishing for king salmon on boats, deep sea fishing out off of the coast of Nanaimo in Canada. I know. And I used to love it, but the whole experience of catching a fish, bringing it on, and then crushing its head, or putting it in the cooler and just letting it suffer, like to kill it and gutting it, like I had to do all of that. Oof. I've aged out of that, and I feel like I've done a disservice to my kids. I'm not the one who taught them to fish. Their grandfather taught them to fish because I'm just like I don't need to partake in that. But hypocritically, I also do eat fish.
Right.
I do have a constant sort of fear of the bone splinters in my mouth. I don't like that. Like the idea of catching a bone and missing it until it like gets in my neck and comes out the other side. I think about those kinds of things, which is not great.
Right.
So that was one.
One, yeah.
The other is if you think about this as a mode to go vegetarian, that's like a house of cards, or one of those big fields of stand-up dominoes, because there are all kinds of things that come into like that kind of transition to go to make sure you're eating healthy and getting enough protein and all those things that are super easy for omnivores.
Right.
But as soon as you're a vegetarian, you actually have to think about it. And I find so many vegetables unpalatable that it's really hard to make that switch. And so have you ever tried to go vegetarian and thought through?
No. And now that you're bringing that up, you're right. I would have to think of it less as just eliminating meat and more adding a bunch of other probably newer things to my diet in order to make up for it.
Okay.
No, I have not given any thought to. Well, yeah, I've given it thought, but I haven't thought it through. Not at all.
Okay. Well, that's on brand. That's on brand for us. So that's okay. Look, third question.
Yep.
Where do you stand on the new lab meat, Impossible Foods, that kind of stuff?
Very pro. I've had it probably twice, and I've really liked it. And I love that it exists. And I got really excited for it when it first came out because I thought it was like a health food. And I have learned since it is not. It's better for cholesterol, but everything else, the caloric intake is still sky high and stuff. But no, I would like to try to get more into that. And I find a lot of places out in California are making, I don't care for the phrase lab grown meat. That makes me do the opposite of salivate. That means like I'm absorbing liquid
Things
into my
just
body.
Dry up. Yeah, real fast.
But if I take that out, because all I can think about is like meat beakers. Nobody wants a meat beaker.
Okay, that's gross.
What do you think about beaker meat?
I think I'm in favor of it.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely in favor of it in principle, but I'm like you. Like once you hear about that there's always the hidden cost that is unadvertised and that it could be more significant than we think, just in terms of, again, impact, the chemicals in it that they have to use, that they're trying to work out how not to use. I didn't know that. There's so much I don't know, but I have found the experience of eating it, the mouthfeel, to be quite good. And so I'm in favor of that. And I'm generally, we've talked about like upcycled foods before.
Oh, right.
The whole idea of taking like food refuse, or the future of food is scientifically modified food to make pizza healthier. Like, I'm way into that.
Yes.
I am way into that. If you could make eggplant taste like barbecue baby back ribs, I'm done. I'm okay.
That's such an ask, though. Why can't it just sort of taste less gross? It has to taste like chilies.
Oh, you think I've gone too far?
I don't know.
That's what you think I've moved the bar too high. And I say, sir, wither science. Wither science.
Well, it sounds like we're sort of on the same page a little bit, but we're not on the same page at all, because you're a bone freak. You just sort of said that. Well, I did a teeny bit of research to find out if I was alone. I'm kind of alone. There's not, either I don't know how to look this up, or there's just not, I'm not alone. There's always some people writing, but there's not like a study or a thing about it. A lot of the times it would just be like a post on answers.com or Reddit saying, I can't eat food off the bone. Does anyone else suffer from this? And then one person would say yes. And then there's always like a super aggressive person. There's one that I found on answers.com from a poster named Lejours. And I'm going to go ahead and assume he wrote, my wife is weird about this too. No meat off the bone. Whereas I'm down for whatever. Had pronghorn heart for the first time last weekend, and I'll eat any squirrel I can catch. Okay, Lejours. Settle down. I'm going to eat your wife.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Any squirrel I can catch. What's a pronghorn heart? Okay, anyways.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So it's just something for me to think about. Again, it's not something that I am actively suffering from that much, but I might as well, maybe I should do some research. If we're going to start working out more and I'm squatting up and down the block, maybe it behooves me to do a little research into, certain kinds, because I don't really eat any red meat anymore. I've already taken that out of my diet. But it's all chicken and turkey and stuff. Maybe I should look at that and follow that through.
I don't think that's the worst thing in the world, but I also don't think that there's anything wrong with you evaluating what it would be like to live more vegetarianly. I just know it requires work, and I'm not very good at it.
Sure.
It stresses me out.
Well, I'm going to get to work on this whole eggplant baby back rib thing. We could make a mint. Oh, we could also make it taste like mint. Okay.
Do you know what they could also do? Is if we can get squirrel meat to taste like eggplant, we could have a hell of a lot of backwoods vegetarians.
Like there was no fear or doubt to fill your heart.
Thank you all so much for joining us for this episode. This week's tune is Waiting for You by Kadesh, coming up next week. And so the kids are sitting home in the rain, parents are gone, and the Cat in the Hat comes in to show them a good time. And it's essentially James Gumb coming in to tell him to put the lotion on the skin or else it gets the hose again. And
I don't remember that part, but...
Telling the story this time, I'm like, did my director poison me? Like, I'm just... this is 30 years after the fact, and I'm like...
That's grim.
He got
That's your motivation.
The performance he wanted.
Let that be the operative phrase. More than once.
Yeah.
So I went and did stand up. And then a couple years later, people are like, you want to come do stand up? I'm like, why not? And there's at least one good reason why not. I'm going to take a step into this dark, terrifying cave because I know there's yogurt there. Right? Don't we all look for the yogurt in the cave? I think you get what I'm saying. The cave yogurt? Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
I think you get what I'm saying.
Wasn't that Socrates who said that?
I really...
Tommy, would you write that down? We're going to have to do a whole show on cave yogurt another time. Another time. Table it, but
it actually sounds
yogurt.
Pretty gross when you say it like that.
Until then, I'm Tommy Metz III.
And I'm Pete Wright. Thanks for downloading. We'll be back next week on... What's that smell?